I need to move on. Gift of the word of knowledge. Once again, the word of is critically important because it's not just knowledge. We all have knowledge. We can get knowledge, but in the gift is the gift of the word of knowledge, right? And what this is essentially a supernatural insight. It's knowing something that you couldn't have known except if it was revealed by the Holy Spirit, right? So it's a knowing that you didn't learn, that you didn't know. And I mean, you see many instances of this. You see Jesus doing this when he speaks to the woman and he says, the man that you're with is not your husband, right? And he knows something which he didn't know by knowing it. He just knew it by the Spirit. And in the moment, God did something, right? So Peter with Ananias and Sapphira, he knows something. They bring the gift to the altar. They say, we've sold our house. Then Peter comes and he says, no, did you bring all the money when you sold the house? Yes, they say, lying to him. Why? Because the Holy Spirit showed him something that he couldn't have known of his own. And the Holy Spirit gave him a word of knowledge, which is a knowing beyond what you can know of yourself. And I remember Karen and myself doing a lot of youth ministry at some point in time. And sometimes you'd end up with this group of young people that you know, they have to be there or they have no choice to be there. And there's just no desire to engage God whatsoever. And so many times we would sit with a group of young people like that and we would pray about it. And oftentimes the strategy God gave us was he would give us a word of knowledge about somebody in the audience. And we would literally sit with a group of teenagers that couldn't care less about God, but they had to listen to you, and you would pull one out and you would say, you know, is it true that A, B, and C happens? And all their friends would start giggling because they would know that you couldn't have known what you know except if God revealed it to you, and suddenly their hearts are open to the reality of God. Now, is this a little weird when it happens? Yes, it is. Has there been a lot of counterfeits and fakes and spiritual things that happen to the same effect? Absolutely. Does that mean that there is no such thing as a word of knowledge? No, there's a word of knowledge. Can we, through assessment and reading people, assess a lot of things about them? If I said, hey, there's somebody here with a name starting with a J, I'm pretty sure we'll find someone. That some of those things are just pure deduction. Some of those things are not deduction. Some of those things are pure demonic. Because there is a spiritual realm. There are things like demons, and there is a devil, and there are counterfeit things around. Is that true? Yes, it is. But when we go to our Father and we ask him for a good gift of the Holy Spirit, will he give us something that'll hurt us? No, he gives us good gifts. And is this a gift? It absolutely is a gift. One of the ways we've experienced this is Karen and myself got married quite young. Okay, so my kids aren't around, so I can tell you how young. Okay, she was 19 and I was 20 when we got married. Okay, and we got married young, and obviously everybody's fear was just don't have any kids soon. Okay, so 5 years later, when we were 25 years old, we both felt as if God spoke to us that it was the right time to start having kids. And so we prayed about it and we said, God, if this is you, we want you to confirm this in a way that we know it's you. And we didn't tell anybody. We didn't go to people and say, hey, we said nothing. And it's a day later after we said, listen, maybe this is time. And we're standing in a prayer meeting with a bunch of people praying together. And the next moment, the one guy in the prayer meeting looks over at us and he says, Yuri and Karen, I feel like God's telling me that you've asked him a question. And we're like, and immediately we both know what question this is about. He says, God just wants to tell you that it is time. And we knew. Okay, great. God said it's time. So, obviously being young and excited about all this, we were ready to have kids. And, these things happen in a week, right? So I remember how disappointed we were month after month as we found out that all our hard work was not paying off, okay? Karen's loving this, by the way. Fact of the matter is that every now and then you'll find out that, and at some point in time, we were distraught. We said, God, you said it's time. And yet here we are once again. The monthly evidence was showing that it wasn't time. And we were visiting a home group of the church we led in at the time. And I remember us, praying for one another's needs at this group. And we said that we're just really disappointed that, we're not pregnant yet. And this one lady looks over at Karen and says, I want to tell you that God says you're pregnant already. Now, we didn't want to share any gruesome details about why we felt we knew that she wasn't, when in fact, although all the evidence was to the contrary, that was a word from God, because at that point in time, Karen was pregnant. We just didn't know it. It's those moments where something happens and God says something, gives you knowledge that you can only have if it was Him. Okay?